Hey everyone, welcome back to the Kingdom of Luninberg. The year is 1322, and today we'll finally be finishing off the royal city. I've had this large spot of empty space below the castle since I pretty much started, so I'm really excited to finally get that filled in. So as you may have guessed if you're following our Instagram, this new area will be called Devereaux Gardens, after the affluent family that sponsored this area. Originally the monarch was going to do it, but if you want to learn more on why that's not the case no longer, definitely check out our Instagram or Reddit. Before we dive in, make sure to hit like and subscribe to keep up with how the kingdom transforms throughout the centuries. We're getting close to wrapping up the Middle Ages, and there are some major projects on the horizon as we leap from the Middle Ages into the kingdom's Renaissance. So with that said, let's talk about Devereaux Gardens. I really liked how these retaining walls turned out in this section. It's a significant improvement over the original city walls, which block the views from within the kingdom to the outside world. These new walls will not only offer a view of the ocean, but it also maintains a significant height to deter potential raiders from getting in. So this area is going to be home to some of the most affluent families within Luninberg. If in fact you have been keeping up with our Instagram, you might recall that one of the conditions the Devereaux family had when taking on this project was to have a royal cathedral included, and that's exactly what this area right here is going to be. In the end, I didn't end up holding on to that particular asset, but as you see later on, the one I eventually went with looks a way better. The goal for this area was to create an inviting atmosphere. So right now we're in the process of constructing the first palace for one of the noble families living within this new neighborhood. I've chosen this particular one to be the Patolis family's palace. I felt like this ocean view would have been perfect for them so they could see the ships crafted in their shipyard, both entering and exiting the Lunin Strait. I noticed when I converted this into a procedural object that these courtyards had disappeared. I thought since they were obviously pretty wealthy and made their wealth in the shipping industry, they would have had these, I guess, exotic plants shipped in from around the world to fill in their gardens, which I think ends up looking really nice in the end. And so this massive palace here will belong to the Devereaux family, located within the center of the district and with a large park in front of it, with 4 mini courtyards within. I felt like this would be great for such a large family, not only the immediate family, but it could also house their relative. I was kind of thinking like Kensington Palace in the UK, but obviously a bit different. This is by far the largest one in the area, which will lead to quite a bit of controversy once the public is allowed to walk through the area and see just how extravagant it is. I put in these long sweeping roads with these triangular plazas because I wanted the area to have a more elegant feel than the rest of the royal city, while also having plenty of places for people to access water wells and small markets and just kind of gather in general. I also think it will be really interesting once cars are introduced to see how these areas will adapt and evolve, not only just for cars, but also streetcars, trains, other stuff like that, how it will evolve throughout the different trends in transportation. Speaking of transportation, I also included this small ferry dock so residents on the northern side of Devereaux Gardens can get to the port without having to travel through the streets of the royal city. So I really liked how this area turned out, but I haven't decided what the family living there will have been known for yet. If anyone would like to make a suggestion, please let me know in the comments below. Feel free to get creative as you like. I'm thinking since there's a large market in front, the family might have something to do with trade or being merchants, but other than that, I'm open to any ideas, so please feel free to let me know what you think. This area will also get direct access to the Royal Amphitheater as well, so you'll see me doing work on the animal enclosure of that complex to make it more suitable for people to walk through. I've selected a place for the Royal Zoo nearby, but I just haven't gotten around to doing it yet. So for now, I guess I'm just gonna have to keep them dangerously close to this heavily populated area. I really love these market assets I got from the workshop. As you may have noticed, I use them just about everywhere. I'll leave a link to them below if you're interested, but I just think they really fit into everything I've done so far. like whatever family living here has to be okay with a lot of people walking in and out of their palace, which is why they have no like big gardens like the Batolas family does, because it would just get trampled on or stolen if you can steal plants. I just felt it would be a lot more realistic if it was just kind of more of a business center than a home, even though it still looks like a palace. But I think it turned out nice in the end anyway. I put a poll in my story the other day asking how long the time jump should be between the Middle Ages and the Renaissance. The winning response was 150 years, which should land Luninberg around the year 1500. At first, I wasn't too sure about that large of a time jump, but I think given the limitations of building earlier time periods, it will be a lot more beneficial to actually get into the Industrial Revolution as quickly as possible. But I still have a lot of things I want to do before then, which I think starting in the 1500s would be a good place to start the next phase of the kingdom. I just think having more time in these early years will really benefit it in the long run. Nevertheless, I'm excited to start the next phase of Luninberg, which, like I said, will be the Renaissance. I know technically it's a bit late for this to be happening, but from what I read online, every region went through their Renaissance at different times, so I guess you can say Luninberg is a late bloomer. But yeah, anyway, lastly, I wanted to mention that just because I'm skipping those years, I will still have information on things that happened during those years later this month. Our Reddit page will still have a lot of information about what happened during those years, so definitely keep an eye out for that. If you have any thoughts on what happened during those 150 years in Luninberg's history, please feel free to let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your ideas. So here we are working on the gate between Devereaux Gardens and the animal enclosures for the amphitheater. I'm using the same wall asset for the enclosures as I did the outer walls of Stonegale Fort in the last video, which I think fits in really well, especially if you compare it to the log fence that we had here previously. I also included a small building for the caretakers and other relevant workers to be stationed from, mainly because I just didn't know what else to put there. So as we wind down to the end of the video, you can see that Devereaux Gardens, as you may have imagined, is mostly residential, with some commercial zoning around the market areas, but I really just wanted this to be like a neighborhood for now. I'm not too worried about proper zoning in the kingdom at the moment at all, to be quite honest with you. However, as the kingdom becomes more advanced, I will start to begin putting in more thought into how everything's zoned, but I think just because it's so early on, I just kind of want to have fun with it. I don't want to worry about it too much right now, but it will definitely become a issue as things get more developed. So any recommendations on zoning, please feel free to let me know. I've been a bit unorganized lately, which I know must sound like a shock if you've been keeping up with this channel, but I ended up doing a lot of smaller detailing off camera, so you'll see more of that footage at the end. But for now, that's all the building footage I have. For you today. So thank you so much for watching. I'd love to know what your thoughts are in the comments below. If you'd like to support the kingdom and gain honorary citizenship, go ahead and like and subscribe. Thank you so much.